Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Lavin, for the opportunity to present today and for that uplifting prayer to start the meeting. I am here to talk about the academic probation policy at XYZ University. First, a little about me. My name is Susan Gannon. I have worked in higher education since 2002, so next year I will be celebrating 23 years working with students. I'm currently pursuing an EDD at Liberty University. Some of you may know me already. I worked as an academic advisor from 2020 to 2023 here at XYZ. In 2023, I went over to work for institutional research as a policy analyst. Most of all, I'm just someone who loves Jesus and tries to glorify him in everything that I do. A few months ago, Dr. Lavin came to me and asked me to take a look at our academic probation policy and see what could be done to make it less restrictive to our students. So a little about the academic probation policy. I've broken it down for you. The first semester that a student reaches an overall GPA of less than 2.0, they end up on academic warning. And that's basically just to let the student know that they need to step up their game. Their second semester with an overall GPA of less than 2.0, they are on academic probation. They're not allowed to register on their own. They have to see an academic advisor before they do. The third semester with an overall GPA of less than 2.0, they end up on academic probation 2. And academic probation 2 is really the mark for academic advisors to know that this is a time where intervention is necessary. After the fourth semester of an overall GPA of less than 2.0, the student faces academic suspension, which means they have to sit out the following semester. If they return after they sit out for a semester, then they still can't bring their overall GPA to a 2.0, then they face academic dismissal and they're no longer to take classes here at XYZ. So let's look at a student example. We have our first student, Riley Hicks. That's not his real name, but we'll just call him Riley Hicks. His first semester, he took a full load, 15 credit hours, and halfway through that semester, he had to have back surgery. He's a VA student, and he realized that if he withdrew from all his courses, he would have to pay back all his VA benefits. So he decided that he was just going to take Fs for all of his courses. So he ended up with 15 credits of 0 GPA. When he did return a couple years later, his second semester, he changed his major, so he couldn't repeat the classes that he had already failed. He took 6 credits, but 3 of them were math prep classes, so they didn't count towards his GPA. And he got an A in both classes. That brought his overall GPA to a 0.667, put him on academic probation. His third semester, same thing. He took 6 credit hours. 3 of them were prep math, so they didn't affect his GPA, but he got an A in both courses. Ended up with a 1.143 overall GPA and was placed on academic probation 2. In his fourth semester, he took 6 credit hours, which affected his GPA. He got A's in both courses, and he ended up with a 1.8444 GPA. So 3 semesters in a row of straight A's, and he was asked to sit out a semester. Let's look at another example. Jason Johnson. Okay, we'll call him Jason Johnson. His final semester before he was suspended was the spring semester. And he had a 2.0 semester GPA, so he got C's in his classes. And his overall GPA was at a 1.92. so he was asked to sit out for the summer semester. The problem is he only had 2 classes left in his program, and those 2 classes are only taught in summer. So he had to sit out summer. The classes weren't offered in the fall. The classes weren't offered in the spring. He had to sit out for a full year before he could come back and finish his degree, and he didn't return. He never returned because he was suspended and had 1 semester left, and he never came back. So this is obviously going to affect XYZ's retention rates. Our retention rates are below average. We have 2 neighboring schools, Lander University and Piedmont Technical College, PTC. Now PTC, you'll see on this chart, is at the bottom with their retention rate at 61%. Lander is in the middle here. Their retention rate is at 66%. XYZ's retention rate is at 59% retention. Now there's many reasons we can look at for poor retention rates: student engagement, student-teacher relationships, positive school climate, some underlying issues that need to be addressed. But I believe that rewarding students for doing good work could help our retention rates and stop students from getting to that academic suspension step. So generally, student attrition, also known as dropout rates, are high after suspension. The national average, it's estimated that 19% of students who end up on academic suspension do not return. At XYZ, 1/3 of the students who end up on academic suspension do not return. So I have come up with 3 options to help increase retention, decrease attrition, and change the academic probation policy to help our students. First, we would consider semesterly GPA. Keeping a student on probation until they reach an overall GPA of 2.0, that's fine. But escalating their probation status shows that we don't really care how much they're trying. The second option that I came up with is to offer free tutoring. And the third option is that we do proactive outreach during suspension. So the first recommendation, consider semesterly GPA. I've put together some pros and cons. Now, the pros of considering semesterly GPA is it gives the students a fresh start. It allows them to focus on their current achievements. It reflects their current capabilities, and it could earn the university an estimated $70,000 in tuition and fees per semester if we allowed these students to keep coming to school who are doing well but haven't actually reached that 2.0 overall GPA yet. There's a couple of cons. The cons would mean that we would have to reprogram the system, but I have every faith in Michael over at IT. He is a blessing, and he's very good at what he does. I know he would be able to do it. We would need training for our academic advisors, but I also know the academic advisors, and I know a lot of them are really looking forward to changing this policy. And then the last con is that students may focus too much on grades rather than growth. And so that would be something that would be added to the training for the academic advisors, is to help these students focus on growth rather than grades. The second recommendation is free tutoring. A lot of schools have free tutoring. The pros are all students have academic support regardless of disparities. It would actually reduce disparities. Those who have problems with money, generally marginalized students. And another pro is that tutors teach what is not taught in class. So that's proper time management, study skills, complex concepts that maybe the professor doesn't have a chance to explain to everybody during the lecture. So tutors help just give students a step up, and a lot of students can't afford tutors. So offering free tutoring would be a very good idea. However, that comes with its cons as well. It's estimated that the university would lose about $47,000 per semester if we offered free tutoring. The tutors may not have the proper training that they need, and students might decide to use tutoring as an alternative to doing homework or studying, and we would want to definitely discourage that behavior. The third recommendation is proactive outreach during suspension. So basically what this would look like is it would be students who are on suspension would have weekly Teams meetings with counselors or academic advisors to see how maybe the university could help the student as they sit out their semester and keep them engaged in what's going on with the university. So the pros are the students would be more apt to return. It could help students set realistic goals, and it would reflect favorably on XYZ, because if people know that we care about our students even when they are not attending, that looks good. But there are cons to this recommendation as well. The cons would be an estimated loss of $54,000 per semester in time spent in outreach to these students. The staff would definitely need more training to be able to deal with students who are on academic suspension. And then it's very dependent on student participation. If you have a student who's suspended, they might be too embarrassed to attend a counseling session. They might be too busy to attend a counseling session. A lot of students, if they're not in school, they have to be working, so they have hectic schedules they have to deal with. So proactive outreach during suspension, great idea, maybe not the best idea, but certainly something that we should look at. So my final recommendation is that we consider semesterly GPA so that we keep students who are doing well in matriculation. It's a profit to the university in tuition and fees. It keeps encouraging students to continue to raise their grades and to do well. It raises our retention rates. And most of all, it rewards students for doing well. In Galatians 6:9, it says, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." Letting our students know they're being rewarded for not giving up is our responsibility as educators in a Christian university. So thank you so much for allowing me to present. I hope this presentation is helpful in your decision to change the academic probation policy at XYZ University. If you need to reach me, I'm available through email or Microsoft Teams, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about my research.